Alright, hello there guys, welcome back. This is Catalyst Cameron from Catalyst Gamers, and you join me today in the creative studios of the University of Essex, where we are rendering this video as we speak. Now today what I wanted to talk to you about was a little theory based on a Lola legend. Now a lot of us have heard about the Mother of the Fog in Fallout 4, or the Woman of the Mist, as she is also known in those communities. And you know a little bit about the quest you do, the one that leads to Reformation, the one where you have to go and get an idol or an icon of the Mother. I just want to point out, by the way, these were complete spoilers. If you haven't played the DLC yet, Far Harbor, then where are you and why are you watching this? In any case, we were talking about the theory. So I have a couple of theories laid out as to who I think the Mother is. Now, a lot of people are going to go right out there and they're going to go, oh, if the Mother exists, then so does, Atom's judgment and all this. But don't listen to that crap. This doesn't necessarily prove anything. The Mother can exist, and yet the great father figure of Atom doesn't necessarily have to exist. She's a lady that appears when you have hallucinations. Shit happens. Some people will only appear if they think they're safe. The fact the fog monsters don't attack you, there's no guarantee, like the fact you can't hurt them. We don't know if this is a hallucination in your head. You end up with the icon, so I guess you do wander somewhere, and there are things you can kill, which are the ghouls. We're still talking about specifically who we think the Mother is, so I'm going to just let's wind back the clock and let's think about the situation that was in the quest that led to the Reformation quest. So you speaking to Richter first. He is an ex-Enclave soldier, more spoilers, and he tells you to go to the springs and drink from the springs and then, see where that leads you. So you take a drink from this incredibly putrid, incredibly toxic, clearly mindfuckery kind of spring. And what are the results? The results is you immediately hallucinate and see the shadow of a ghoul. Not a woman, a ghoul. And this is very important. I say this because it's clear from the way the hair is zigzag. That's the result of radiation sickness, causing some of the hair to fall out. The general look is the same kind of skin that you find on ghouls that are around in the Fallout universe. So my immediate thoughts is the Mother of the Fog has to be a ghoul, must be, or a woman who can come across quite effectively and easily as a ghoul, or someone who has transformative powers. Now, I don't want to put this past people. People talk about the age of magic is different from the age of science. We're in a world where creatures are horribly deformed, where we have simps, and people are still saying that Atom's glow can't give you special powers. Well, shit to you guys who still think you're in the world of today, in the world of tomorrow. Let's rethink this. We have people with psychic powers in Fallout. We have people like Mother Murphy, who's like a simp, whatever. You have aliens in there. Why can't we necessarily have magic? So, with this new open mindset, let's reimagine who we think the Mother of the Fog is. So, it's a ghoul, which means someone who has been around for a very long time, has been exposed to Atom's glow, so has been affected by the Atom. And now I want to briefly do a comparison to Mr. Manhattan from, what was it? You know the movie I'm talking about, even if I don't. There'll be some sort of pop-up bar saying what it is. The Watchers, I think, or something like that. Anyway, so Mr. Manhattan in that is some blue giant guy who got affected by it. He was a normal person. Radiation affected him, made him so he had the power of the atom, he could create everything. But what's important is he existed in a plane outside of ours. Now that we've got this sense, let's think about the idea of ghosts. Okay, so in a world that has representations of the past that appear before you, Let's think about Dunwich Borrowers and the Dunwich Building, where you see the past in the present as if it's somehow been captured as a still frame and placed before you. Now, if you can have the past able to live itself in the present, is it possible that you can have a realm overlaying a realm? Now we have the multiverse theory. Okay, so we've got a lot of mind blowing going on here. When the atoms split and the bombs exploded, the world became a multiple array of worlds. That is what atoms' teachings are in the Fallout universe. So let's think a little further. You're someone who was around when the bombs fell. You're someone in Far Harbor. You're someone who was there, who associates with the people. Now this is where I've got a couple of different theories as to who the Lady of the Mist is. All right. Now first off, I'm going to point out, I think a lot of this is to do with Lady of the Lake or Morgan Le Fay. So this is back to our Arthur, kind of arthurian, if you will, legends. Now I think your main character is Merlin. We'll talk about the reasons why in another video. I think the mother is the Lady of the Lake. If you want to understand why, well, we need to go back and look at Lady of the Lake mythology. So I'm just going to switch over to one of my other kind of sheets that I've popped up that talks about this. And I'm just going to read you an extract from what is on Britannia.com, history biographies, on a lady called Nameu, which is, if you will, the precursor, what they say the Lady of the Lake is based on. Now I'm just going to describe to you what they have down. So her name, the Lady of the Lake, is usually referred to with various spellings of the name, Naimu or Viveni. Nemu is thought to be related to Mene, the shortened form of Menephasae, one of the 9 water nymph muses of Roman and Greek mythology, who gave weapons not unlike Arthur's swords to the heroic Perseus. Viveni betrays the lady Celtic form, for Vivana, probably derived from Covana, a variant of the widespread Celtic water goddess Covenita. Remembering Latin pronunciation, this name probably relates to Merlin's original partner in early poetry, his wife, Godvana. Godvana. There have also been attempts to show Vivana as a corrupt form of Diana, which is a Celtic goddess. These possible theories seem unlikely. Okay, so that's the first bit. That's like a massive chunk, which will relate back to who I think she is in, like, one of the other people I think she is, because there's 3 possibilities I have here. But we're just going to continue on so we can know that this is definitely Lady of the Lake theology. Right, so ancient origin. Water deities were extremely popular with Celtic society. There's our first link. We're in basically like New Hampshire. This is effectively the most English part of our Commonwealth America, if you will. So if anywhere's going to have a Lady Galadriel legend based on Celtic water goddess mythology, it will be the island sort of country of New England, New Hampshire, whatever the hell this is, that we have in Far Harbor. There's our first link. Now, it talks about her essence being the essence of life itself. Now, if you are a follower of Atom, the mist, which is largely taken from the water, is life itself to these people. I'll continue on. The spontaneous movement of the springs, rivers, and lakes clearly show the supernatural powers of the goddess who lived within. Once again, this can be adapted to the idea of the mist, which comes out of the rivers and the lakes, which are filled with radiation, which gives them a spontaneous element. And again, it's mentioning the Lady of the Lake lived within the lake, just like the Woman of the Mist lives within the mist. and offerings at such aquatic features were commonplace, especially of weapons and other valuables. The practice continues today at Wishing Well across the country, and the Lady of the Lake is remembered as Lady Luck. Now we've got a reference to Fallout New Vegas where there was a Lady Luck, but what's more important is we have a reference to the game. Remember what Richter says about the Lady of the Mist, the Woman of the Mist. He says, she brings luck to those who see her. She is a great image of luck to their people. She is the one who led them to the island, brought them to salvation. Because of the Lady of the Mist, the Woman of the Mist, these people found safety, and it was said she only comes before those who are important to the family, in a sense. Now, there's a separate set of Celtic mythology about Arthurian legends and how the Lady of the Lake only appeared to people who were at important junctions in Arthurian history. Similarly, the Woman of the Mist has appeared before you who are important in the changing of the island. Now we continue on. Her name clearly reveals that this lady is to have been the Celtic water goddess Corvineta, presumably identified with the Romans. This lady was worshipped throughout the Western Roman Empire. In Britain, the Narbonne area of Gaul, northern Iberia, she is most celebrated for her shrine at Brocilia Cabawala on Hadrian's Wall. Maybe this is a link to Megaton. We don't know, because Megaton is surrounded by a wall, which was built, to sort of protect the people. I don't know, there's a loose linking there. It's basically the suggestion that they're from an area. If we put it in terms of the map, we're saying like New England over here somewhere, Washington DC down there. Can we make this same kind of link? It's very loose, so I don't think so, but we can kind of suggest the idea that the Lady of the Lake is worshipped in different locations, similar to how, Adam is worshipped in Washington, as well as in, the Commonwealth of Boston and in New Hampshire. 3 different locations, just like we're kind of suggested here. Part of this is the Western Roman Empire, but I suppose this would be the East in the Fallout universe, although it is west of Britain, so who knows? Since the Lady of the Lake's place as Merlin's student and lover was largely overtaken by Morgan Le Fay, a lady whose very name Britain's... Oh, sorry, I've skipped over a bit here. Another important gem just come up. Here at Hadrian's Wall is a quadrangular temple, okay, surrounded by a central pool fed by a sacred spring. Right? Coin, jewelry, and a small bronze figurine offerings have been excavated, as well as numerous altars dedicated to the local soldiers. By the local soldiers. Now we have even more links to suggest this is the Lady of the Lake. We have a sacred spring that feeds into one of the areas. We have a sacred spring in Far Harbour, the one you drank from. We have mentioned that at one of her shrines they found a small bronze figurine as an offering. We found the mother's icon, which, although not made of bronze, is made of wood and is a similar colouring to what one would think of as an old bronze statue, being a brownish sort of texture. And the fact that it mentions there's more than one, and you can find more than one, again, links back to this idea. And in a way, you had to excavate it because you had to unlock the kind of cage to find it, to get it. And it was built there by local soldiers. What is Richter? Enclave soldier. What are the children of Atom? The soldiers of Atom and his children. No? Building his shrines all across the island? The links are clearer. We see mention of this being, Merlin's student and lover, who was overtaken by Morgan Le Fay, a lady whose very name, Britain, blah, blah, blah. indicates water nymph. It seems the two were aspects of the same character, indeed, as both appear among the three queens who escort Arthur to Avalon. She no doubt had a third aspect, making up the well-known theme of the Celtic triple goddess. That's a side note. We don't really need to think about that unless you were to consider, yes, you know, the child of, when our King Arthur in the Fallout universe, who is, Arthur Maxim, when he dies, it's because he gets essentially nuked and dies of nuclear fire. And I suppose if he is dead, the ghost of the Lady of the Mist might take him away. God knows where the reference is there. But if we know there's an Arthur in this, there's got to be a Lady of a Lake somewhere, and we haven't seen her in the Commonwealth. We're better for her to appear, okay? But why hasn't she appeared before Arthur? Why have you seen her? I'm saying you're Merlin. Now, in the original story, it goes that the Lady of the Lake seduced Merlin, took him down to like a cave sort of thing, and trapped him there, and then replaced him as advisor to King Arthur. We're not talking about why you are Merlin here today, but that's just one suggestion here. Could say that the Woman of the Mist is another figure similar to the Lady of the Lake, who essentially is a water nymph, so is a spirit made of a combination of atoms glow. What I'm suggesting she might also be is a shadow, a shade, if you will. In a world where atoms glow exists, inside the mist, I think some of the atoms have fused together. They took the imprint of a woman who had passed, her DNA, and they reconstructed themselves in her astral form. And to those who drink of the blood of the island, those who drink of Adam's glow are able to perceive her. When you are asked to kill the ghouls, when you're asked to go get the icon and you inadvertently kill the ghoul followers, are you doing the will of Atom? Who are we to say? Are you doing the will of the mother? Who are we to say? These creatures were filled with radiation. It drove her mad. Maybe what she wants is for you to end their lives so they can return, their spirits can return to the glow, to the mist, and the cycle can continue. The fact the creatures don't attack you has something to do with the mother of the mist. The fact you can attack them and does no damage is confusing, but it's probably just a game element. Maybe the idea is that they are just astral projections to you to tell you that basically the whole land bows to you and you are God. I don't know what they were thinking in that sense. They could have done better continuity, but the fact that you can hurt the ghouls but not the creatures of the island is perhaps important, because it's saying here those ghouls are no doubt the followers of the children of Atom, and for them to be there, they have come from off the island. So whatever's inside you prevents you from hurting those born to the island, those who are born to the mist, but does not prevent you from hurting those who are not born to the island and the mist. I think it's a strange sort of ideology here, very hard to kind of get your head around, but it's just to straightforwardly say, when you drink of the spring, I think you become a part of the island, and when you are the island, you cannot hurt yourself. When the liquid has left your body, its time has run out, your liver has filtered it, whatever's happened, it's left the radiation behind. That's at that point you are you again, and you're no longer part of the island. And by then you've got the mother's icon. Maybe there's something in it that absorbed the radiation of the mother that was inside you that you took from the spring. Who's to say? Now, that's one idea of who I think the Mother of the Mist is. It's just someone who died, their imprinting got taken into the mist has gained a sentient form, and it is guiding you to just help the children of Atom, who it also guided as it grew. I'm thinking in the sense of, do you remember in Fallout New Vegas, there were holograms you could get if another, what do you call it, spoiler, Dead Money, there were holograms in there. Some people suggested that the Mother of the Mist has something to do with the mist that was in Dead Money, which was a red tinted mist that was equally made by some sort of radiation. I'm not ruling this out. I doubt it's possible, but that mist existed. Who's to say they aren't connected if they are sentient? Because we know that the creatures infected by the radiation somehow became alive again, and their motory functions continue. So maybe the mist has a similar. I can't get my head around that side. Now, my other suggestion, who I think the mother is the alchemist. When you see her, she looks a bit ragged. She's probably the only one in the kind of commune that could most likely resemble a ghoul. She sounds like a ghoul, but she covers her lower half of her face. She's said to have married a pious man, learned from him, and then obviously joined the order, and has a high-ranking position. Now, if we're saying this is similar to the legend of, the Lady of the Lake, the pious man being a follower of, Atom, came to the island with the Atom's people, the alchemist joined them, and then he lost favour, just like Merlin, and perhaps something happened to him. The alchemist might have even killed him and replaced him, in a sense, just like how the Lady of the Lake replaced Merlin in Arthur's eyes. And we're saying in this sense the confessors are Arthur. It's a very loose linking, but I think it could be possible. Now, my first suggestion as to who I think the mother of the island is perhaps, again, quite a loose theory, and that is Elizabeth, the girl on the island. Now, I don't know how many of you have done research into the Gibbons, right? Their letters are all over the island. When you look for it, you find the entire Gibbon family. Or do you? There's two Gibbons missing. Nathan and Elizabeth. Right? Important. The rest of the family are transformed into ghouls. Nathan is a bit of a lazy sod. Didn't do anything, but we don't know if he's dead or alive. In the original coding, it suggested he was a dead ghoul, which suggests Elizabeth, something happened to her. She was just a child when the bombs landed, so she could have survived. Now, what I'm saying might have happened is Nathan, maybe there is an Adam from Atom's glow, but there can still be people who would willingly impersonate him. Just like there's people that we assume to be the mother who has eclipsed Atom. Remember, as far as Cromwell, the Confessor Cromwell, who kind of revived Atom, there was his wife in there, Maya, and there was no real mention of the mother of the mist. No one cared, no one knew. And then the mother of the mist appeared and eclipsed almost Adam in being seen as the messenger of his. Now, I think Elizabeth was on the island. I think the bombs landed. I think she continued to live on the island. Didn't want to leave her family. I think she became a ghoul like her family did, because it seems like a highly unlikely that if four of them became a ghoul, it's clearly in the family to become a ghoul. I don't know what happened to Nathan. He likely would have left the island. I think he may have even been with Elizabeth at the time when the radiation hit. I don't know where he is, but I will assume Elizabeth stayed behind on the island. That she saw from afar the plight that was upon the people of the Commonwealth, upon these children of Atom, that she reached out to them with radio communication which was perceived as being a dream. Perhaps she even has psychic abilities, just like the aliens gave to some of the humans in Fallout, the original Fallout. She sent a message to the followers. They came to the island, or maybe they came to the island of their own volition and changed their own story so that she was brought into it. Maybe she came to them in person and led them herself. Who's to know? At this point in time in the game, ghouls aren't exactly liked by the children of Atom. I don't think I've seen a single ghoul in any of their places, so I can only presume they killed them on sight. The fact that ghouls are on their sites and no one goes and bothers them until you come would suggest thus this. And considering you just came to a ghoul community, picked up the mother's icon, slaughtered all ghouls in sight, is it truly uncertain that on the way back you wouldn't be able to find the mother if she was a ghoul and just witnessed you killing a shit ton of her brethren? You know, maybe because of the amount of radiation you'd taken in drinking from the spring, she thought you were a ghoul or becoming one. And I don't think the gophers and all that touch ghouls. So again, that's probably why you were fine. Because your flesh is dead. You know, why would they come after you? You stink of radiation. So when the mother realised you were not a ghoul, because it's more than likely maybe her eyes rotted so she can't see, she can only sense radiation. When she realised you'd taken Rad-X and Rad-Away and all this and you were normal, she left. Because she was afraid you might kill her. That's why you never see her again. Because she disappears. Because she doesn't want to be seen. If someone's lived on the island for over 200 years and survived dodging fog crawlers and all the rest of it, do you think a guy who's been there for like a couple of weeks is going to find her? There's places you can't go. You know? She could have disappeared anywhere. Bethesda's not going to make it so that you can travel and dig around everywhere in this godforsaken game. There's no way of you scanning the entire field to check for people. You only have VATS. And I'm sure there's ways around that, and I don't think Bethesda really cares in this sense. But my suggestion is perhaps it is Elizabeth Gibbon. Become a ghoul. She's looking after her people. She took in the radiation affected followers because she thought they were ghouls or turning into them. She took you in because she thought you were turning into a ghoul. And now you're using the fact that you met her and have her icon to continue on. Perhaps she sees this as the way of making the humans human again, because look at it, once you enter the facility where the children of Atom are, you have the choice of reconnecting the filter that would absorb, take the radiation away from them, turn them back essentially to being humans. Perhaps that's what she wanted. You can remove the confessor and Tectus and replace him with someone who's more moderate, who would bring them back to the idea of re-establishing with Far Harbor and probably abandoning the submarine facility to the ghouls who probably inhabited it before. So that's one of my other ones. And I think in this sense, this is where I kind of end my talk. I think those are my three possibilities of who the Lady of the Mist is. Either a water spirit that has been affected by Atom's glow, the Lady of the Lake in this sense. Elizabeth Gibbon, who has become a ghoul, has been helping the children of Atom and you because of the radiation in you, and she suspects you are ghouls. Or the Alchemist, who, having dealt with her husband, has decided to do anything to help the children of Atom while they are on Far Harbor, and in seeing you, led you in your days to, wipe out the ghouls and help out. And I even wonder if, by mention of a pious man, perhaps her lover was, the other confessor, the one before Tectus, Matthews, Confessor Matthews. Who knows? Who knows? It's not like she ever says what's his name, and no one really talks about Matthews if he married. She never really married this guy, this pious man. And how more pious can you be than being, Matthews? So, loads of questions, not a lot of answers. But those are the three possible answers I can give you based on what we know now. You can make a lot of conjecture, a lot of theories. I'm putting my own out there because I don't think anyone's spoken about it. And I see a lot of similarities in the way this is run and how Bethesda really likes the idea of Arthur kind of policies. Now, I'm going to give you a fourth possibility. Okay? This one, in my mind, is the least likely, but it's still possible. And that is the Lady of the Mist is your dead wife. Now, before we blow up in hysterics, I don't mean the actual embodiment of your dead wife. I'm thinking, because there's a lot of links between this scene and when you're getting part of your skull, your brain cut out during Fallout 3 when you go to Maryland during Point Lookout, that there are indeed some similarities. Now, in that version, you have sort of a hallucinogenic situation and you find yourself like in some random location after part of your brain got cut out and you were just having some sort of weird seizure walk. Equally, you're going through something that's really fucking with your mind when you're playing this game, alright? When you're drinking from this spring. I think it's only logical that your mind would create an anchor to try and keep you in the present while it solved its mental problems and it shut down a lot of functions and essentially left you in a daze. That's why you think you're killing things when you're not. That's why you see the golfers, because they're in your memory. You remember them from when you were at Far Harbour. Your brain sticks them there because it's trying to remember the previous events so it can restore itself. It's essentially trying to reset itself. And while this is going on, it has you doing walking. It's hoping you're safe wherever you're going. That's why it brings in the folklore, right? It brings all these creatures in because it's just like, we've heard of this. We've seen this. And when you're trying to shoot them and failing to kill them, that's because you still don't control anything. You're still in a daze. You think you can do things that you can't. And the woman leading you on this path is your wife, created by your mind to help to restore it. Because what is the strongest thing in your memories? It is your son and it is your wife. Now, you've seen your son, you've seen the father, and presumably by this point in the game, if the DLC came out later, then you would have already dealt with your son, so that's not even an issue. Or at least you know your son is still alive, so it won't recreate him to help you find your way. But you know for certain your wife is dead. So what your mind is doing is it's creating a shadow of the most reassuring thing in your life, your wife or your husband, and it's placing them before you as the mother of the mist. I think this is just, because Fallout Bethesda's assumed most people are male characters, they made it the woman of the mist, but it could have just easily been the man of the mist. But in this case, let's say it's the woman of the mist, or if you're on a female playthrough, perhaps you had a real feminine husband. Anyway, so your wife has appeared, and she's guiding you as you go along this path. In fact, if you're a woman, maybe this is your mother, your legit mother in the kind of Fallout universe who gave you more reassurance than your husband. Who knows? Let's just say for now it's your wife. What is she doing? Well, inside your mind, this astral projection of your wife is leading you on the path. It's giving a reassurance presence, and it's telling you to follow her, just like that early scene when you are fleeing from the bombs. Remember, you're in your house, you have a drink, you have your children there, the bombs start to go off, and you run and go to the vault. A place of safety, a place of security. You go from somewhere you thought you were secure to somewhere safer, full of people. Similarly, when you're playing this playthrough, your mind is screwed. You need someone to follow. You follow your companion. She leads you to somewhere safe, somewhere safer. And just like with the vault, when you came out of this mental thing, you fought for survival. And similarly, once you get to that location, your mind is restored enough that it recognizes these ghouls are a threat and they are alive, and it restores motory functions, allowing you to destroy the ghouls. But you're not fully out the clear. It's when you find the mother's icon, something physical, a physical representation, something that you were asked in a way to go after. That's the fulfillment of the quest in your head. That's, okay, I've done something, and your mind puts everything back into place and leaves you with a shit ton of radiation poisoning. Now you get rid of that, go back to Richter, here's the icon, act like nothing's happened, but what's really happened is you've just survived one of the worst radiation poisonings in your life that was so bad it fucked your mind and left you in a desperate situation. So there you go, there's my 4 kind of explanations. Lady of the Lake, Elizabeth Gibbon, The Alchemist, and your mind's losing it, basically. There's my 4 rings of who the Lady of the Lake is. The Woman of the Mist is. Now take it or leave it, give me your alternative theories, but I think these 4 make the most sense in our game. And they should appeal to, a lot of reasonings. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back to you with my theory on why you are based on the Merlin philosophy in this.